I'm Julie Herman of Jaybird Quilts and Lazy Girl Designs, and welcome to the Great Gift Sew-Along. We wanted to get crafty with you as the holiday season approaches, so I've put together the best of our best patterns for you to make handcrafted gifts for your loved ones with ease and joy. We'll be making Perfect Pouches by Lazy Girl Designs, Rock Candy Table Topper by Jaybird Quilts, Sweetpea Pods by Lazy Girl Designs, and finishing up with the Candy Dish Pillow by Jaybird Quilts. For the second video for the Candy Dish Pillow, we're going to focus on fussy cutting and layout. Sign up to receive the sew-along emails and worksheets at the link posted in the video description below. Let's get started. The hexagon shape provides us many opportunities for creative fussy cutting to make a candy dish pillow. As you'll note on the cover, there are two options. One features hexagons out of the feature fabric with a background fabric, and the other features triangles out of the feature fabric with a background fabric. For this fussy cut sew along, we're going to focus on the bottom pillow and cut our feature fabrics out of the hexagon. Once you've mastered that, if you'd like, you can go ahead and do the other one as well. So we're going to save this for cutting out our background. So today we're going to be working with the hexagon, and these are the fabrics I've picked from Tula Pink's Tiny Piece. And I'm going to begin by showing you how I'm going to decide what I'm going to cut out with this raccoon fabric. Now, my hexagon should be oriented like this. Candy Dish has it with our flat sides at the top and the bottom, so you want to keep that in mind and make sure you don't turn it like this so it's pointing up and down. You want to keep a flat side. Now the shape can be rotated anyway. The hole doesn't necessarily have to be at the top. You just want to have a flat at the top and at the bottom. So you can kind of move it around and audition which one of your characters you want. Some fabrics provide more flexibility than others. And I am specifically going to begin with this piece of fabric. So if you joined us with our recent Rock Candy Sew Along, I have 3 diamonds missing because I started with this fat eighth for my cutting. And there's plenty of opportunities left to use the same piece of fabric. So that's why I want to show this as an example. You may have yardage, but if you have something smaller, that's totally okay. Now, I don't have room at the top anymore. You know, I could use that if I was cutting a triangle or maybe still a diamond, but I don't have room for it up there. But my possibilities begin down here. So I could start here, kind of put this guy off to the side, but I think my best options are either this little one is opening the trash can, doing probably this pair, this little one that's hiding behind the flower and this little one standing below it, or this little one that is holding on to the apple. I think in this case I'm going to go with this little one opening the trash can, and I do have 2 options. I could either do it up here, or I could start cutting from the bottom of my fabric and do it down here. Whichever one, you know, this, if I cut down here, I'm not going to be able to use this one, and I already can't use him up here. So I think I'm going to do it from this one so that I still leave this one as a possibility for future fussy cutting. So once I have decided where I'm going to put my piece, I'm going to cut 2 sides, maybe 3 at a time. You want to do as much as you're comfortable without cutting towards yourself. So I think in this case, I'll be comfortable doing those 2 and across the top. You can roll your cutter back towards yourself like this a little bit, but you never want the blade angled towards yourself like this. It's just a safety precaution. Always want to play it safe. Now I'm going to get the ear of this little guy. I could go up like that to get it out, but then this guy wouldn't be as centered and I would lose more of the trash can, and I think the trash can has some fun interest, so I don't mind. I don't think that's really going to be a distraction. Maybe depending on the colors it might be, but not in this case. So I'm going to hold my hexagon fussy cut shape in place and simply cut. And I'm going to make sure I don't cut too far into my fabric either way, because I want to leave everything as usable as possible for future pieces, but I do want to make sure it's cut. So I'm going to double check. Oh, looks like I might need to change my blade soon. When you miss one thread when you're cutting, that usually means you have a nick in your blade somewhere. So now I'm going to rotate this piece around. And I am right-handed, so if you're left-handed, this will be a little bit backwards for you. Just take a look and then mirror it. So, or I should say rotate it, not mirror it. So I'm going to slide this back into place to realign it on these 3 cut areas. And take your time. This is definitely a measure twice, cut once type of thing. Once you know that you're aligned in the right place, continue cutting. And let's see what we got. All right, so there is our little creature, and I am going to continue this process to cut all of my hexagons with flat sides at the top and the bottom. And based off of this collection of fabrics, I'm going to have to duplicate a couple of them, and I'm going to choose, I think, to duplicate these ladybugs and to put those on the sides. If you follow the inside of your pattern, you'll see that some of your shapes will be cut down the middle to fill in the sides, and I think I would prefer that to be my ladybugs since they are smaller and you can still get the full effect of them cut. So I'll get into more of that in a moment, but let me show you how I would cut the rest of my fabrics. So I would do this one in a similar, I think though that I'm going to make sure I get a different creature, so I'll probably pick this one here, or I think I maybe want the guy with the apple. So I will make a call on that one. And then with this next one, with the hedgehog, I've got two different hedgehogs. I've got one facing the side and one facing forward. So I will probably cut one with the coral fabric, and then whichever one I cut in the coral, I'll cut the opposite one here. So if I cut the guy facing to the side with this one, I will cut the little one that is facing forward with this one. That's just a personal preference. I like to have as much variety as possible. But with this one, I only have one deer, so I'll probably cut the same deer from both colors, and that's okay. And this you'll see compared to the diamond, which we did in rock candy, we have more space. So we can either go and center the little lady, or we can go up and get more of her antlers. That is a personal preference. There are these crosshairs in the center, and so you could decide to line them up on the eye, to line them up below the eye. You can do the same for both. You don't have to. And you also don't have to do the deer. You could decide that you really want to feature this flower and do the flower instead. Here it looks like we've got three different ones. We've got one with the tail below it like this. We have one facing to the side, and then we have one kind of climbing up. So I definitely have options when I go to cut. And this one I would do like this, but some of them, based off of their orientation, I would turn the fabric and not worry about my grain so much. And if I wanted this one, I think, I could do it this way and have it climbing down. So we'll see what that looks like in this orientation, but I kind of like the idea of doing it this way and having it climb to the right. So I think if I was going to fussy cut that one, that's how I would do it. And this fox print, this is a little more tonal. It doesn't pop as much, but it still has a little creature. So you can go ahead and center a fox, and it looks like we can get some nice flowers in there as well at the same time. There are areas big enough that if you somehow didn't want a fox, if you just wanted flowers for one, you could make it so that the fox is out of the frame. Personal preference on that. And then this one is a little more subtle than some of the other ones. This bear with a little beehive on its head. I think with this one I will, since it's a mirror image, right and left, I'll definitely center it and keep that center part. I don't know if I'll keep it on the nose or on the little bee. That's a little bumblebee there. I think actually between the little nose and the bee, so that I get the little beehive at the top but some of the flowers at the bottom. I think that's where I'll end up cutting that one. And then this is the one that I mentioned. I think I'm going to use this as my duplicates. I'll probably cut two from each one of this, because if you cut this one in half, you still get a good image, where if you cut some of the other ones in half, you don't get the creature as much. Plus, if you think of a pillow, the way the side's round, you don't see what's at the sides as much. So I wouldn't want something, if I'm in love with the deer or the little raccoon, I wouldn't want that curving all around the side and then just kind of like getting to see a little bit of a tail tush there. In addition to my hexagons that I'm going to go ahead and cut, I also need some triangles of my background fabric for my setting. Now I could use my fussy cut shape and go ahead and fussy cut this fabric, but since this is such a small polka dot, there's really no benefit to arranging this in certain ways. So I've gone ahead and just cut a strip of fabric as directed in the pattern, and I'm going to use my fussy cut shape and line it up. And I've already cut a few, so I already have an angle. If you're starting with the straight end of your strip, this is what it'll look like. In the fussy cut shape, has all of the sharp points cut off of it already. That's a feature that when you cut with the hexamore, only one of your points ends up sharp. So what that allows us to do is have blunt corners, which will really help with our piecing. I'll show you. So I'm just going to realign it. And by cutting off all of our sharp points, when we go to piece this to our hexagon and we flip it right sides, we know exactly where it's going to go. If we had sharp points, we might have it one way or the other too far, but by having those blunt, gives us perfect alignment. Now, if you don't have the Fussy Cut shape set, another option is to cut with the hexamore ruler. And the directions for this are included in diagrams in the pattern. But what you'll do is take your hexamore ruler, line it up like this on the strip. And so the bottom, our triangles are at the bottom of our ruler. And trim. And we get a triangle with 2 sharp points. Now we can cut those sharp points off by turning it and realigning it underneath the hexamore like this. Trim and repeat. And this is what I was saying. So when we go to piece this on and we have 2 sharp points, we don't know exactly. Now we could use this side, but then we don't have that blunt point for our next piecing. So I find it really helpful to cut those sharp points off to know exactly where to line this piece up like this. I have gone ahead and finished all of the fussy cutting for my candy dish pillow. And I played with it a little bit till I had a layout that I was happy with. Balance of colors and little critters. Some of them are close to their partner, where some of them are further away. I went more for color balance than balance of specific animals. Either one works. I also have my extra hexagons. I'm going to cut those as directed in the pattern to fill in. And I have cut my background triangles. I decided to use this polka dot because it does really contrast pretty well off of most of the prints, and I like how it blends with them. Now, it does not contrast that much off of this print, and if that bothers you, you can go ahead and either eliminate this print or you can choose a different background color. I like the purple feel, and I think I'm actually going to use this fabric on the back of my pillow to complete it. Thank you for tuning in today. If this video was helpful for you, please like it, share your comments with us, and click here to subscribe to this channel. Here are the links to the Great Gift Sew-Along videos and some of my other videos you might like. Sign up to receive the Sew-Along emails and worksheets at the link posted in the video description below. In our next video, we'll go over sewing our candy dish pillow. See you soon!